After 18 years in prison, she returns to destroy everyone who ruined her family. When the gates of Bedford Hills Correctional Facility clanged shut behind me, the sound echoed through my bones. 18 years of silence breaking like glass. I was 36, but prison years don't count the same. They stretch, twist, and fold you until you no longer recognize the reflection staring back. I was 20 when I went in, a naive girl in a red dress, accused of setting fire to her family's estate in the Hamptons. They said I killed my own father, Richard Hawthorne, a real estate mogul who once owned half of Manhattan. They said I did it for the inheritance. The jury believed them. But they were wrong. Now, standing outside in the crisp October air of 2025, I felt the city breathe again. The same city that spat me out like spoiled milk. Manhattan glittered in the distance, unaware that a ghost had returned. My father's empire had long been divided among his so-called friends, the people who framed him for embezzlement before the fire, who forged signatures, planted evidence, and left me to burn for it. There was Eleanor Price, my father's former business partner, Thomas Vance, the family lawyer who promised to protect me, Julian Mercer, my ex-fiancé who testified against me, and Catherine Bellamy, my best friend, who had vanished the night before the fire and returned with a mansion of her own weeks later. I spent 18 years replaying that night, every word, every scream. I knew who had done it. I just needed time. And now I had it. The first stop was Park Avenue, where Eleanor Price still ran Hawthorne Holdings, now rebranded as Price & Go. I watched her from across the street, sipping burnt coffee from a deli cup. She wore a navy suit, diamond earrings catching the light, the kind of woman who never knew guilt. I had one advantage. Everyone thought Emily Hawthorne was dead. The prison fire 2 years before my release had destroyed all records. I was nothing now. No name, no past. Perfect. I applied for a job at her firm under the name Emily Rayner. A new face, new hair, and a fake resume built with precision. Within a month, I was sitting outside Eleanor's glass office, filing papers for the woman who ruined my life. She never looked at me twice. Not until I left a folder on her desk, photos of the forged documents she had used to frame my father. I watched from behind the glass as her hand trembled. By the end of that week, her name was all over the Wall Street Journal. Eleanor Price, under investigation for corporate fraud. 1 down, 3 to go. Thomas Vance was next. He had built a career defending the powerful. Now he was a political candidate, running for mayor of New York City. His campaign slogan was, "Justice for all." Made me laugh until I cried. I visited one of his rallies in Central Park, blending into the crowd. I had found an old recording from his office, a conversation between him and Eleanor plotting the cover-up. A friend from prison who owed me a favor helped leak it anonymously. Within days, the video went viral. Thomas's campaign crumbled like sand in the tide. Then came Julian Mercer, my once fiancé, who swore he loved me more than life itself. He had testified that he saw me near the fire, a lie to protect himself. After my conviction, he married Catherine Bellamy. Yes, that Catherine. Together, they turned our tragedy into empire, a real estate dynasty called the Mercer Group, dripping in blood money. They had a mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, the kind my father once dreamed of for me. I visited them one autumn evening, dressed in black, pretending to be a journalist writing about successful post-pandemic business families. She greeted me with her signature smile, that same snake's grin. she used when she stole my diary to hand over to the prosecutors years ago. She didn't recognize me. 18 years and a new face will do that. Inside, I noticed a painting on their wall. My father's portrait. The original. They had stolen even that. Over dinner, Julian talked about legacy, family, and forgiveness. I smiled, knowing what was coming. The wine they drank that night wasn't poisoned. I'm not that kind of monster. But the USB I left behind on their dining room table contained every piece of evidence I had collected. Emails, voice recordings, transaction logs. Proof that they all conspired to frame my father for arson and embezzlement. I sent copies to the FBI and to the New York Times. The next morning, the Mercer Group collapsed overnight. Catherine fled the country. Julian was arrested on charges of obstruction and perjury. That should have been the end. But revenge isn't clean. It doesn't stop when the score is settled. It festers. A week later, I visited my father's grave in Greenwood Cemetery, Brooklyn. The leaves had turned gold. I laid down a single white rose and whispered, "It's over." But it wasn't. As I turned to leave, I noticed someone watching me from a distance, a man in a gray coat. When our eyes met, he smiled. Miss Hawthorne, or should I say, Emily Rayner. My blood turned to ice. He handed me a letter. No name, no return address, just one line. "You think they acted alone?" The paper slipped from my hand as he disappeared into the fog. For 18 years, I had dreamed of freedom, but now I understood I was never truly free. Every truth I had uncovered led to another lie, another betrayal. The people I destroyed were only the visible layer of something deeper, something my father had never told me. Maybe revenge isn't about closure. Maybe it's about awakening the ghosts you thought were buried. I walked out of the cemetery as the city lights flickered on. Somewhere out there, another game was beginning. One I hadn't yet learned the rules to. And for the first time since I was 20, I smiled. Because I was no longer the girl who went to prison for someone else's crime. I was the woman they created. And I wasn't done yet.